Alright, what you see here is a Regency kids fan. It's a ceiling fan that Regency sold from the late 90s going into the 2000s. I am not 100% sure when they discontinued this fan, but I don't think they went into the 2010s era, but I could be mistaken. Now, I got this off of Facebook Marketplace. It was shipped to me. Thankfully, the seller actually packed it pretty well, so the fan did not get damaged in shipping at all. Now, this is my first Regency ceiling fan, and I do plan to get more. These are pretty big childhood fans for me, as my grandmother got me a Regency catalog from 2001 from the Light and Leisure showroom, along with a Casablanca 2001 brochure. And I still have the catalog of Regency one. The brochure Casablanca one I don't have, but I did get a replacement one. Um, and one of the fans I always remembered from that Regency catalog was the kids fan. Now this version is a little bit different compared to the one that was in that catalog. That one was of the older version of the Regency Marquise, whereas this one is the more updated version of it. So yeah, and when I say more updated version, I mean in terms of like going into the 2000s era, as a, as under the Hinkley name right now, the Regency Marquise basically has a different look. The motor is about the same, it's just it's more sort of blade arms that are different. Whereas with the original one, they just basically had a more smaller switch housing. But yeah, as a kid, I always felt that it looked a bit strange that I didn't have an orange blade. And the reason why I say that is because for it to have this one white blade that stands out, I honestly compared it to the Hampton Bay Carousel at the time. But yeah, it's a fan that this is the first time I've ever seen one out in the wild or even on Marketplace anywhere. I have not seen a single picture of this or sightings of it, videos. So to say that this fan's hard to find, I can, I'm gonna go ahead and say that's a rare fan, but it may not be. But at the same time, a lot of these fans were showroom exclusive fans. So when it comes to kids fans, like Carousels 2 and the 3, the Harbor Breeze Rainbow, the Walmart Rainbow fans, obviously those sold a lot more. So I definitely can go feel like this is considered something that's pretty uncommon on the rare side, because obviously it wouldn't sell as much compared to the more cheaper options that people can get at this, like Walmart, Home Depot, Lowe's, Target, and some other places. But yeah, there's quite a few places around that do have some emergency ceiling fans, like Subways. But my aunt and uncle's house, the ones that have the Hampton Bay Parison 2 ceiling fans, when they first moved in, they actually did have one of the Regency Marquise fans in white in the living room when they came with the house. And this one is basically the same era of the one that was in that house when they first moved in. Had I known they were going to replace it, I would have offered to take it, but this is like when I was a kid, and they unfortunately tossed the fan. But it wasn't a very simple fan, so I'm not surprised. But yeah, I really do like how this fan looks. It's the all white look and just a few blades that are colorful, but the spotlight really is a nice touch to it. Now, whenever I plan to get a white Marquise at some point, and whenever I do, I plan to try it out with a spotlight, because just seeing how this one looks with one, I really would like to try one on that as well. But yeah, now this fan is from July 2003. And the fan mounting bracket basically uses the exact same mounting hardware as the Hampton Bay fans do. So if you needed a replacement one, you could just steal the mounting bracket off of a Hampton Bay fan. Right, let me turn on the light above me just so I can give a little better lighting for the tag up here. I'm not sure if it's made by air cool, but the tag looks like it's an air cool tag, just with the Regency name on it. But yeah, let me go ahead and turn the lights on. And the nice thing is that these are a 3-weight spotlight. Let me go ahead and shut off the lighting behind me. Guess off good lighting. I mean, I'm used to using spotlights anyways, but I definitely wouldn't be a bad fan for in terms of lighting up a bedroom and such. All right, let's go ahead and start off on a low speed. Now, the blades are, it's funny because the blue blade seems to have like a glossy look to it, whereas the other four don't seem to have more of like a matte finish to them. I'm not sure why that's the case, but considering how hard this fan is to find, I'm not complaining. I mean, as a kid, I always thought that this was, from the catalogs, it looked like a 52-inch fan, but it actually is a 44-inch fan. I think it was just more sort of motor housing that made it look like it was a lot bigger than it is. And it does use a 153 motor, so for it to be a fan of this size and have that size motor, it definitely is an appropriate size motor for a fan this size. Yeah, I remember in the catalogs, they had this fan, and right next to it, they had an industrial fan, which, as far as I know, they still sell it, or they sold it as of a few years ago. And yeah, it looked just like the Proline too, except it didn't have a bottom lower canopy, and it had 3 bolts on the bottom, like the versions from the 90s and such, or the early 90s, not the late 90s ones going into the 2000s era. I remember when I posted the picture of this on the Facebook groups, I remember Cole, better known on YouTube as Vintage Fan Some More, commenting that this was a fan that he wanted for his bedroom back when he was a kid. So Cole, if you're watching this, I hope this video kind of brings some nostalgic memories of back when you wanted one of these. There's a good low speed to it. I really am glad that it's not like a very fast low speed out. That was something I was afraid of. That would be a bit of a fast low speed. A lot of fans that are like 44 inches or 42 inches tend to have a fast low speed. But I mean, with this being a showroom fan, in a sense, usually these fans that are small like this, that come from showrooms, tend to have a better speed range and such compared to something that you find at a home center. I feel you're on a good breeze underneath it. Now to go ahead and show it with the light. Something I can see like in a kid's room, or like even at like a summer, like a timeshare house or something like that, like in a room that they have just for the kids or something like that. Beach house. I really do like the Marquis fan because it reminds me a lot of the Hampton Bay Cameron 2 ceiling fan, just with different blades and blade arms and mounting hardware, but switch housing and a motor looks very similar to it. It's a good fan for like a daycare, in my opinion. like a art store, like a drawing place for kids. I mean, with me working in the middle school and such, like I feel like it'd be more appropriate for like a preschool type location, not for like an elementary or middle school, obviously, but like a daycare set place. Like even like an ice cream place, I think this would be pretty cool in and such. But yeah, the fan's dead silent. It's not humming at all. It's just nice and quiet and such. All right, now to move it up to medium. Now, when I first hung the fan up, it did have a bit of a wobble on the medium and high speed, but that was because one of the blade arms, the one that was holding the yellow blade, was pitched backwards, basically, so that was causing it to wobble quite a bit. Now I realigned to that. So now there's basically no wobble to it at all. Still might wobble a tiny bit only because the red blade is warped upwards and such. And I think that one was flipped the other way when it was installed, but it got scuffed quite a bit on the other side, so I had it flipped the other way just for the video, since I'd rather show the side that's in better shape. I gotta say, it is moving a good breeze on medium. I can feel a nice breeze from it over here. And it is pretty hot out. It's like 90 degrees. So the fact that I'm even testing this with this type of weather and it's cooling me down for quite a bit, it's definitely nice. Well, actually, no, it was 90 degrees earlier today. And right now it's like 75-ish, I'd say. I've been trying to test more of the fans at night during the summertime because with it being more hot in the daytime, it gets really hot down here. So by nighttime, it gets a lot more cool in the basement. And then it's a lot more quiet outside. Summertime, it's a lot more noisy with people walking by and such. Because my area is a lot more busier when it's nicer weather and such. But yeah, it's definitely a fan that I'm glad I got off of Marketplace. And I figured even if it did get damaged in shipping, to find replacement parts for it wouldn't be the biggest issue. It's more so the blades, and that would have been the trickier part. Because the motor would be an easy replacement. Just find another Regency Marquise motor. Spotlight, the only thing that might be tricky is just having to swap the arms and such. But other than that, it's not like it'd be a hard thing to replace the parts. It was more so the blades that would have been harder to find in this size and in this finish. I remember a timeshare I stayed with my dad and my grandmother like 15 years ago in North Conway, New Hampshire. And there was a Casablanca Four Seasons 2 or 3. It was a 42-inch one, but it had a smaller motor housing and it had a spotlight on it. And I remember when I saw it in that room, it reminded me a lot of this fan. Even though it wasn't colorful, just a smaller fan with spotlights just reminded me a lot of this fan. It also had a Aloha Breeze, just like the one that my grandmother has. And another Aloha Breeze, it was the brush nickel one with the... It was that brush nickel 5-bladed fan that they sold at Walmart in the 2000 era with the 4 lights on it. Occasionally it shows up. I remember there was a video that someone posted a long time ago of like why you should not buy Walmart fans. You know, showing the quality of it and how the blade arm broke and all that. So, yeah. But Yeah, it's not. I mean, Walmart fans obviously aren't the greatest quality, but occasionally they have something that's not too bad. But, yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and shut off the light and move this onto the high speed. Yeah, the Regency fans, they are pretty big childhood fans for me, even though I never really saw them in person. It's just more so. That was like the second catalog I ever got. It was the Home Depot 2001 ceiling fan catalog, and it was like a 100 special order wall poster that they had. Basically, there was like a brochure, but it was opened up into like a poster. And then it was this and the what was it? The Casablanca 2001 brochure. I have 3 out of 4 first catalogs I ever got, but the Hunter wall brochure thing from Home Depot, that's the last one I don't have. I mean, there's scans of it online, it's just I don't have the actual physical copy of it, but it's not a big deal. I mean, as long as I can see the scans of it, that's fine. But yeah, it's moving a pretty good breeze. It's not wobbling at all, thankfully. I mean, the blade arms are kind of easy to bend, so if it that kind of did help bending it back into alignment because the red blade was also a bit out of alignment as well. But I think it was more so the because it was sitting in my room for a little bit while I was moving stuff around. I feel like the blade arms, with it kind of sitting on the blade arms a little bit, kind of bent them a little. But I was able to fix that before doing the video. And from my knowledge, the 52-inch blade span that they use for the Marquise, it's that what is it that this fan uses the exact same motor size as that one. So whenever I get one in test down here, I'll definitely see if it goes at least somewhat fast like this, or if it's a lot more sluggish. I definitely could say it's like probably isn't like the most powerful fans like you can get from a showroom. Like they're definitely more of like a cheaper quality one, but they definitely a whole lot better than what you can get like at a home center, especially nowadays. Though back in then it kind of depends because there were some home center products that were somewhat better than some of the showroom models like the Cameron 2 Plus, the Winward 2. Though that one's basically the same as like the Emerson Midway Echo. But you get what I mean. It's definitely pushing a good breeze. I gotta say, for a first time testing a Regency fan up close, I'm impressed. I mean, there's definitely more of them I'd like to get, like the Marquise. I think it's the Solano was another one. It was like a 3-bladed one that looked like a Windward, but it had like wooden blades. I think it's the Santa Fe. Yeah, it's the Santa Fe. I think it's called. Or unless that's the one that looks like the Hampton Bay Cautaway, which that's a knockoff of the Regency one. The Cabana, the Countess, the Builders that they had. And once I find that catalog, I know it's somewhere. I just saw it like a week ago. It's just I need to get like actual scans of it, and I'll get a video of it. Unfortunately, it does not have the front or back cover of it, so I do apologize for that. From whenever I do get the video of it out. I can only imagine like how many kids like had these been in more showrooms back in the day. I feel like these would have been a lot more common. Like I know you can like buy them online or special order them, but I feel like if they were in showrooms and actually like hung up on display more often, I'm not sure. I don't think they were hung up that often. I feel like that's something that a lot of people would have mentioned on the groups by now, seeing this in the showroom and such. But I feel like this would have been sold a lot more if it was like a lot more, like almost in every single showroom, for an example. But I mean, I know certain showrooms sell certain stuff, so let's get a factor. Alright, I'm gonna go ahead and shut it off. Spin down. And then shut on reverse. And no, honestly, if with Hampton Bay, had they made the Carousel 2 a lot more like this, with better capacitors and not just a San Marino knockoff or San Marino motor with larger blades, I feel like this would have been a lot better. Even if it was all white like this, like motor wise, like the Carousel 2 is, I feel like the spotlights on it don't really hold up better. But and if they did like the same thing with the blades, the one side's the primary color, the other side's pastel, on something like this, I feel like it would have been a much better quality fan for Hampton Bay. Or if they did like a Cameron, instead of doing the San Marino with rainbow blades, had they done like the Cameron 2 and 44 inches with rainbow blades with a spotlight on it, I feel like that would have been a much better idea. As it definitely would have been a much more powerful fan and a better quality too. Alright, so let's come to a complete stop. Now for reverse. One thing I can definitely say is this fan does not seem like it was used that heavily. I mean, even when I got it, like the inside of the motor, it's not like it was the top of the motor. From what I could see on the inside of the motor housing, has very little dust on top of it. Like it was, like maybe very little service dust. But it's also possible that this fan might have been in a box for so many years, and they installed it for a very short time, because it doesn't look like it was sitting around, but also it's in such good shape for its age that it doesn't seem like it was used that heavily. But the white finish on it is also really good for its age too. And the brass on the pull chains aren't really that faded looking for their age. So I'm wondering if this is a fan that might have been in its box for many years, and it was maybe it is technically a new one. Actually, no, because that wouldn't explain why one of the red blades is a bit just like faded looking. Unless it was hit by sunlight a lot, and I couldn't explain why only that blade's a bit discolored. Yeah, I'm not too sure. I mean, just looking at the pull chains, it doesn't look like pull chains from a fan that's almost 20. That's basically 20 years old, and that would be a used one. Usually, they'd be a lot more like corroded looking. Well, not corroded looking, but a lot less shiny. I don't know. Sometimes it might have just whoever owned it took extremely good care of it. I mean, I do have that person's marketplace listing, like the messages. I can always message them and ask them, like, I mean, I don't remember if they told me that they moved in and they just took it out, or if they had it for so many years. So, like, whenever I find out, I can ask them, and then whatever I find out about it, put it in the description. What it could be is maybe it was hung up on like a ceiling that was like 10 feet or more, just on a standard downer like this. So with it being so high up, it wasn't like it couldn't get touched that often. So that might be the other reason why it's in such good condition. A lot of times when the fan's like hung up high and it's out of the way where people can't really touch it, usually they hold up better. Not always, sometimes. Like, unless they only went up to clean it, and that's about it. Right now it's starting to wobble in reverse. I used to consider this fan the Handmade Carousel's little brother at the time, before the Carousel 2 came out, back when I was like 5 or 6. Yeah, it's definitely one of the fans I'm really glad to have found, as I don't know when or when I'd ever see another one pop up for sale. So I was glad I grabbed this before anybody else did. Alright, that'll be it for this video. Thanks for watching, hope you enjoyed, and stay tuned for more videos to come.